What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show recap with Mo, where we're getting ready to get into another episode breakdown of Tyler Perry's Sistas. But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit snit that's going down, alright? So the episode we're getting ready to get into is Season 7, Episode number 5, titled Hanging in the Balance. And the synopsis for this episode states, Danni is apprehensive about returning to counseling until she reveals past trauma that could be the reason for her present choices. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. All right, so we kicked this episode off with Zach and Karen. Now, you know, in the previous episode, we saw Zach walking all up throughout Karen's new shop, right? And he's yelling her name, and then Karen comes out like, what is it? And he says, look, I'm here. And she was like, okay, you here? Are you here for the celebration? He was like, no, I ain't here for no celebrations. I'm here to get a DNA test. What? Yeah, DNA test. Yeah, that's what he's there for, Karen. So Pam's mouth is open. Karen has to verify and clarify that her mouth is open. So she turns to see, right? So anyhow, she was like, okay, so what are you saying? He was like, look, we finally want to know who's the father. She said, we? Yeah, we need to know. So she was like, oh, this got Fatima written all over it. Like, what? So, hold on, Karen. Let's put up, listen, I'm gonna be very transparent at this point. Yes, Zach was incorrect. He was wrong as hell for the way that he came off in that new salon, asking Karen at that spot, at that point, in this context, where it's supposed to be all about Karen at this point, to ask her for a DNA test. We got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and move to the other side now. Karen should have already had this in place. Once you figured out that Aaron, quote for quote, wasn't the father, let's go ahead and move to Zach. Hey, bro, let's go ahead and get that swab going up. Let's go ahead and get them swabs going off in the jaws. And let's go ahead and do this DNA test so we can go ahead and confirm, clarify, recertify, whatever terminology you want to use for it. Let's go ahead and get this shit out of the way. That's all I'm saying. So I don't want to just blame Karen in this. I also believe that Zach was part of this because he should have stepped up to the plate a long time ago instead of just assuming that Karen was going to do the job. He had to wait on a woman, his fiance, to tell this man to go and get a DNA test. All right? Now, for Karen to say that, this is all Fatima's doing. And I would say, yeah, it is. But my question to Karen is, what woman wouldn't? What woman who's talking about spending her life with this man or getting married to this man who actually has one child that she knows of, but potentially has another child that's still cooking in the womb right now, doesn't want to know if it is or if it isn't? Y'all see how I put that T on the end of it? I'm just saying. And the craziest thing is, if the shoe was on the other foot, Karen would definitely want to know if Zach was the father of Fatima's child or not. And we're just going to keep it all the way 100. That's what we're going to do right here on this platform. Like, if it was on the other foot, Karen would want to know. What woman would not want to know? That's all I'm saying, all right? So moving on from there, we head over to see Maurice. And, he's at the party over there at the club. He's waiting on a suitor, somebody that he met online. And he's a little nervous about this whole situation. That's why he decided to meet at the establishment here. So he conveys to his friend that the guy will have on a gray shirt. So if you see someone with a gray shirt, let me know so I can holler at him or whatnot. So anyhow, they see the guy, and his name is Grayson. He comes over and introduces himself. He and Maurice have a little conversation, and pretty much Grayson is like, look, I want to take the time to get to know you. And he tells him about his background where he lost his, significant other to cancer or something like that. I think that's what he stated. So Maurice obviously likes the guy. Grayson likes him, so I guess we'll see where that goes, right? So moving on from there, we head back over to the new salon where we see Brother Zach, Karen, Pam, and now we see Brother Trey coming up out of nowhere to insert himself into two grown people's conversations. Yes, y'all heard me right. Two grown people's conversation, right? Two grown people who are well adequate enough to communicate, even though they don't communicate enough like they need to, but they are able to do so. So I don't understand why Brother Trey has to insert himself in this discussion. I'm just trying to make sure she's good. Is everything good? No, it ain't good because you right here. And Zach doesn't make it any better because he's like, oh, so this your man now? But not only that, then Miss Lisa comes out the back room hearing the conversation, and she was like, hold on, what's going on, Zach? Like, didn't I tell you not to come off over here? Like I'm one of the children. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm one of the kids or some shit. Like I'm not a grown-ass man standing here talking to potentially my baby's mother. So I'm like, come on now. Come on, Miss Lisa. I need you to come on and join me over here because this ain't what we're about to do. And then, she sort of fixed it up in the end a little bit. I felt a little bad about how I felt about it, and we'll get to that. But, initially, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, this is not what we're going to do. And then going on from there, Miss Lisa comes back in after escorting Zach out of the business or whatnot. And Karen is like, Mom, like, when did you speak to Zach? She was like, oh, well, he was in the parking lot earlier, and I asked him not to come. Karen is like, well, obviously he didn't listen. And then she was like, well, y'all never do. So anyhow, going on from there, the next person we see in the new salon is Danni, drunk and high as hell. And when I say high, I mean high. All right? Like disturbingly high, right? Meaning she's able to stand there and announce to the world inside of the new salon that Karen is having issues with her potential baby daddies because she really doesn't know who the baby daddy is at this moment. And not only that, but I'm actually going through counseling, dealing with all the stuff that I'm going through right now. And Karen has to come in and intervene. You see what I'm saying? She has to tell the people, thank you guys for showing up to my grand opening. I don't know what's about to happen because, it ain't going no way like I thought it was going to go. It ain't going no way. Like she thought it was about to go down. Like this was supposed to be a celebration, but with the whole situation with, the power getting cut off on the day of, having to come up with the money to pay, for that situation. And then, Zach not showing up to her grand opening and, she felt some type of way about that. Her friends didn't come over and assist her with setting up the shop. Pam was walking around there all on social media. It was so much going on. And then her mama came over there being bossy. You see what I'm saying? It was just so much that she had to go through. But anyhow, we're going to move on from there and we're going to go over to, Zach and Fatima's. Now, when Zach gets home, he tells Fatima that, hey, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Fatima was like, so what are you saying? Like, what happened? He was like, well, Miss Lisa showed up. She escorted me up out, and, truth be told, I probably could have done it differently. Oh, you think? Like, did she feel some type of way about you, putting her business out there on front street, Zach? Is that what you're saying? Like, she felt some type of way like you were calling her a garden tool? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you could have went about it a different way, Zach. Now, we know you need answers, and we know you need a response. But the way that you handled it, though, that was the problem. Now, what Fatima is saying is very true. But I can see there was a little bit of, we need to find out. But not only that, she wants you to be the father. That's what Fatima is feeling right now. She wants you to be the father of that child so she can always have an attachment to you. And I thought about it for a moment. And I was like, that's not cool. That's not a great feeling for you to always think that that individual has the potential to try to get back with your mate or your spouse or your significant other. That's not a great feeling. I wouldn't want that for myself, so I damn sure don't want it for somebody else. But I don't know if this is coming from a genuine place or not, but I do feel that this is a huge concern for Fatima, and I think that she will not decide to marry Zach until she figures out what it is that's going on. Right now, she's not willing to commit to a wedding because there's too many question marks out here about Zach and his past. Now, if we can get over this hurdle, because it seems as though that she's accepted Little Mike. And if she's willing to accept Little Mike, then I'm quite sure if this child is Zach's, and I'm saying if, don't get on me, I'm just saying what it's saying on the show, right? If it's saying that it is Zach's, then she will have no choice but to accept that and deal with it. And I don't think Fatima is that type of woman that's going to just sit up here and say, no, we're not doing that. I just think and believe that she wants him to not make a decision with his heart, but make a decision with the science, with the proof. All right, the infallible proof. If it shows that he is 99.9% the father, unlike the Aaron test that was also 99.9%, I guess we won't deal with that on this show. But I'm just saying that's what it stated, all right? So anyhow, y'all know I had to throw it in there. Anyhow, we head over to see Andy on the phone with Jordan, and they're setting up a night date or a date at night, whatever y'all want to call it. A date at night. Damn, what? Am I high? Maybe I've been on some of that Danni juice. They set up a date for the night, all right? And then we see Andy and Fatima having this conversation in her office where, she's happy and she feels good to be with someone that she can actually trust, unlike dealing with that whole situationship with Gary, right? So Andy is talking to Fatima, but she could tell that something is wrong. So she's like, what's up? And that's crazy because Andy is real slow to the draw, all right? She real slow, you know what I'm saying? But she's able to pick up on the vibe of Fatima, and she was like, look, I typically wouldn't ask you this, but can you talk to your friend? And she was like, you're talking about Karen, right? Yeah, I'm talking about Karen. And she was like, well, I overheard what happened at the new Salon the other night. And she was like, no, nothing went down. And she was like, well, Danni told me. See that mess right there? Danni told me when she was high that, Zach was about to get his ass whipped by the delivery guy by the name of Trey. She was like, delivery guy? Fatima has to clear the air and tell her, no, he wasn't about to get that work. He wasn't about to get done in by the delivery guy. What it was that the young guy inserted himself into grown folks' business, and Miss Lisa came over there and escorted him out. But that was all it was. Andy has to tell Fatima that wasn't the proper time to do that. This was supposed to be about Karen, about celebrating her new shop. Fatima's like, yeah, I know, but we got to get it done. Andy is like, look, I need y'all to focus on this case. This is real talk. And right now, we don't need Zach getting involved in any shenanigans at the clubs where he's starting a fight, getting involved in fights, watching a fight, video game fights. As a matter of fact, we don't even need him watching no boxing matches on TV. We don't want none of that to be disturbed as we're trying to uncover what needs to be done for little Michael. All right? Tomorrow is the day, and we need everything to go well so we can make sure that he can come home. So y'all need to do what's best for Zach and Lil Mike. And Fatima's sitting up here saying to Andy, like, well, can you just talk to your friend? And Andy's like, no, like, I got too much shit on my plate already. Like, I'm already dealing with this case with little Mike and Zach. And then I got the Alphabet People investigation. And then I'm trying to become part of my own damn self. Like, I already got shit in it that I'm dealing with. So nope. I can't do nothing about it. I can't assist you. And Fatima's like, okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But by the way, I think hating ass Hayden is up to something. Andy's like, what is he up to? She was like, I don't know. But he came up out of old girl's office with a file. Andy was like, okay, well, it is what it is. Like, we'll have to deal with it when it shows up, pretty much. So next we head over to see Gary in his office watching his laptop. Now, on his laptop, we hear them discussing Jordan doing great things in the community. And then we hear something about him coaching a girls' basketball team. Whoa. And Gary is obviously not pleased with what he's hearing on the tablet or the laptop or whatever he was watching, right? And then this has the audacity to say he's trying to take what's mine. What? He's trying to take what's yours. What's yours is already gone, bro. You see what I'm saying? That been gone. You see, I don't know what you own, Gary. But anyhow, Hudson comes in and he was like, "Look, man, what's going on with the story? Like, what's going on? Why is it taking so long to be leaked?" So obviously he putting something out there about Jordan or something to mess up his campaign, or maybe I'm not sure what he's doing. But he's obviously not happy about this whole situation with Jordan and Andy being happy. And as he just stated, you trying to steal what's mine, like what's yours, bro? Like, I'm confused as hell. You see what I'm saying? But anyhow, moving on from there, we see Hudson and Gary leave the room to go ahead and take care of the business themselves. So going on from there, we see Danni in therapy, and Creisha gets her to talk a little bit about, her past experiences with men. And she brings up Preston, and she brings up his background, his family's background, and all of that. And then she talks about the whole situation with Jonah, how she didn't see the dark side of him, how she was unable to pick that up. And she felt bad about that. She talked about, hitting him with a car. And Creisha was like, "What? Like, you hit him with, like, is he? She scared her to death, man. And she was like, "No, he lived, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? He's still good." But anyhow, and then she talked about another time in her life when she was in college dealing with a guy by the name of Rusty. And, that was just a bad situation all the way around. And I'm not going to talk too much on it. I'm probably going to make a separate video on this topic and a couple more topics for this episode. And I'm going to just say this. I don't care if you're man or woman. Keep your damn hands to yourself. Men, you should not be putting your hands on women. Love your women. Take care of your women. Assist your women. That's what we should be doing with our hands. Caressing our women. Whatever they want us to do with our hands, whatever, that's what we should do. But abusing our women is not what we should be doing. Women, y'all don't get out easy, right? Don't put your hands on a man either. Now, I know y'all gonna say, no, don't put your hands on anybody. Like, you never know who you end up with. And you put your hands on that individual that was not raised to believe that, you shouldn't, put your hands on a woman, and he turns around and puts his hands back on you, then what do you say about it? You see what I'm saying? Just leave all of that stuff at the door. Like, don't even bring it into the house. But anyhow, getting back on track here, we see Sabrina and Rich. I almost called him Bill. Y'all know I'm recapping Bruh, and he just so happens to be the Bill character on there. So I had to catch myself. But anyhow, so we see Rich is super excited to share with Sabrina some of the blueprints from what he's about to do with his new locations, and he's super excited. And while he's talking about it, in walks this woman with a baby, and the body language on Sabrina changes completely. She can't even focus on what he's saying. He's super excited, but she can't be excited with him because what she wants isn't necessarily what he wants. So we see Rich being excited about the potential of growth and all of this stuff on the business end of things. And we as men, we get excited about that. Like, we are providers, we are protectors. That's what we like to do. That's what we love to do. We are conquerors, right? That's what we do. But on the flip side, he's not saying his woman. His woman's body language is changing because of her desires, what she wants. She wants to be a wife and a mother. And when that woman comes in with that baby, it just kills her. And to see Rich not being in tune with his girl is a problem. Because I would have stopped immediately to say, okay, what's good? Like, what's wrong? Now, did you notice when she says, well, I got a few plans of my own? And he was like, oh yeah, let me know if you need assistance with a startup, getting your credit right, whatever. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm actually freezing my eggs. And then this has the audacity to say, oh, well, yeah, you should definitely do that. Just in case you and I don't make it, then you have the opportunity to procreate. What? Nick? Come on, bro. Like, Sabrina, if you don't see it yet, I don't know what else to say to you, sis. You're a very beautiful woman. You will have no issues with finding a good man out there in them streets. Yes, I said streets. Shit. Yeah, don't waste your time on this dude. He might be a good dude, but every person that you meet ain't the one every damn time. Sometimes they are just simply stepping stones for you to get to where you need to get to next. And that's what Rich possibly is for you. Now, maybe he will change his mind because, as she left the room, we saw him in the back because he ain't want to have no discussion. He was super excited about the blueprints. He could talk all damn day. As soon as she started talking about freezing eggs, he had to leave. Oh man, we super busy. Oh, it's rush time. Or what they call it, rush hour. I got to get back to work. Soon as she leaves, he goes over there, put his hands on his head. Like, he can't believe, what have I gotten myself into? Back over at the salon, we see Miss Lisa coming in to see her daughter. And when she comes in, Karen is sitting on the couch. And Miss Lisa is like, how's everything? Karen is still trying to organize, still trying to work out things financially. And Miss Lisa writes her a check. Karen is definitely appreciative of her mom doing that for her. But Miss Lisa has some very valid questions, all right? Now, earlier I was upset with Miss Lisa, right? But as the episode progressed and we got to this point, I appreciated her. Because when she turned around and asked Karen, what's your plans moving forward? And Karen is like, well, we're going to get some more clients to come in, whoop, 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 and all of that stuff. Sounds good. But Miss Lisa's like, okay, well, what if it doesn't turn around? What if you're not able to get more clients? What are you going to do financially? And that's a real boss-like question, Karen, as an entrepreneur. And then Karen is like, well, I don't know. I just try to work it out. So Miss Lisa is like, well, give Zach what he needs. Give him the proof that he's asking for. So you don't have to worry about things financially because you'll have Zach and you'll be more stable financially if you just give him what he needs. And if he's the father, then you're going to be good. But for some damn reason, Tyler, I don't know. I'm just throwing Tyler's name out there, all right? Oh, man. So hopefully Karen he's her mom, and according to what we've been able to see on the videos, and I try not to look at everything or read everything because it takes some of the out of it, right? So I'm just assuming from what we've seen that she's actually going to go and get a DNA test done. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna move on. No, we're not gonna move on because before we leave the new salon, we see Brother Trey coming in with those empty ass boxes with nothing in them, and you can tell there's nothing in them because the way they fill up on the desk. Tyler, gotta do better, man. Whoever putting that stuff together gotta do better. Anyhow, he goes over to ask Karen out to lunch with him or whatnot. And of course, Karen, who hasn't eaten all day, is very appreciative of the gesture. And, she says yes. All right. So she said yes to the lunch. All right. Nothing else, as she stated to Pam. But anyhow, going on from there, next we see Penelope. Now, Penelope comes to surprise Gary, but Gary ain't there. So come close real quick. So when Penelope comes in and she sees he ain't there, she says, okay, so let me go ahead and hit him up at the same place at the same damn time where I can go ahead and figure out what this man got going on. So she goes ahead, looks on top of the desk, looks in between the desk, open the drawers, and then she finds a document that says warrant. So she was like, what? Like warrant? Like, Gary, what you got going on with a warrant? So anyhow, I was interested as hell. why he had a warrant as well. Does that have something to do with Jordan? Not only that, but when Penelope was getting into good, when she was deep off in that desk, all of a sudden here comes Gary and Hudson. I was like, oh, damn. So she goes ahead, places everything back into order, puts her hand on top of the desk where the food was, and she was like, hey, boo, how you doing? Gary's like, what the hell you doing? What the hell you doing here? I was like, damn, Gary, that's how you talk to your fiance, bro? So anyhow, she was like, oh, well, I just came to bring you some lunch so we can sit down and eat. So Gary sends Hudson out of the office. So he walks slowly, and I was like, oh, Lord, don't do nothing to this woman. Please don't do nothing to this woman. So he walks over there slowly, and he was like, look, Penelope, why are you going off at my damn desk? She was like, no, I was actually looking for, an eating utensil, because they didn't put any forks. Now, if that man would have opened that bag up and saw forks in that damn bag, I'd be like, oh, hell to the no. No. Like, okay, so let's deal with it. Gary is obviously on to her searching his desk. So she's going to have to find something new to do. Maybe she needs to put something in his office that's recording or something like that, because I don't believe that she's going to find anything at his desk at this point, definitely due to the fact that he's on to her. But he allows her to see another day. He tells her that, hey, I'm not hungry right now. I got other things on my mind. I got a whole lot of damn work to do. And then she was like, well, I'm going to just leave this food right here for you. And she leaves. Hudson comes back in after being summoned by his boss. And when he comes in there, he could tell something is off with Gary. So he asked him if he needed something to take the edge off. And I'm like, the hell? Like, the edge off of what, bro? Like, Gary doesn't need any... he doesn't need any assistance with being unhinged, right? Like, right now, that's not what he needs. He's already crazy. But anyhow, going on from there, we see Danni and Tony. And, Danni was on the phone before Tony got into the room, I guess discussing what she had discussed with the therapist about college and all of that good stuff. When Tony comes in, she immediately gets off the phone. And Tony off the bat can tell that something is up with Danni. She's not really talkative towards him. And she's like, look, I just need to get going. I need to get back to work. And he was like, okay, cool. We'll talk later. So going on from there, we head over to the bank where we see Sabrina and Paige. Now, Paige has obviously been, going behind Sabrina, looking at some of her documents with some of her clients and customers. And she tells Sabrina that some of her documents that she's been observing are filled with errors, right? So Sabrina's like, what in the hell are you talking about? And she brings up this specific customer, and she stated that, the numbers are off. And she's actually called the gentleman to tell him about the situation. Sabrina calls her back over there and it's like, no, the numbers are right. You're looking at the wrong column. And you sit up here talking about you want to be the branch manager at that other location. Wait till she hears about it. Wait till India hears about you not being able to read a chart. Wait, just wait. Because I'm definitely going to document this. And I'm going to see if you know what you're talking about, all right? Going on from there, man. We see Gary getting a phone call from Hayden-ass Hayden, who calls him to tell him that he overheard Jordan's name being mentioned by Andy and Fatima, talking about scandals and how, he needs to stay clean of scandals. And Gary's like, oh, don't worry about that. It's about to get real filthy. So Hayden is like, okay, so what are you talking about? You got something you about to set up? Gary's like, oh, you don't need to worry about that, bro. And going on from there, they move on. Ain't nothing else to talk about. So anyhow, going on from there, let me see. I'm gonna breeze through this because it's some stuff I really didn't care about. I do feel that it was great that Danni was able to sit down with the counselor once again and deal with some of the issues that she had. Not only that, but that she was able to actually deal with those issues and then talk them out a little bit with Tony. Everything she's not willing to share at this moment, which is only natural. But at the same time, she's willing to give him an opportunity to come over and possibly talk about some things, or just hear her without discussing, right? Not only that, back over at Zach's, we see him going through documents and, how he's working diligently to make sure that everything goes well tomorrow. So he wants everything to be right so he can make sure that, little Michael has a place that he can call home in a safe and nurturing environment, which, I see that being a great thing for Mike as well as for Fatima and Zach. And last but not least, we see Andy and Jordan at a restaurant enjoying one another's company. And Andy is like, I overheard what happened with your boy, the opponent that was going up against you. And he was like, yeah, I was shocked to hear that as well. But Andy is like, look, you need to make sure as, a potential politician that you keep your nose clean and that there aren't any scandals that you potentially could be involved in. And it was like, look, grabbing her hands and shit, listen, I ain't got nothing to worry about. I don't get into all of that. I'm not perfect, but I don't get into all of that stuff that will hinder me from doing my job. And she was like, well, that's all I need to hear. But since we're talking about jobs and jobs getting done and dirt being thrown, let's go ahead and get outside where we see Gary, right? Gary's outside with that snowfall that he got in a bag, and then he got the pow pow on the seat as well. So God knows what in the hell are you about to do, Gary? I'm just not for sure. But anyhow, when they come out, he looks like he's ready to pow pow somebody, but I don't know if he's too high to do what he needs to do. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's about to go down. And it may backfire. It just may backfire. With Jordan leaving and Andy leaving at the same time, he tries to, follow suit and start swerving and all this stuff and get pulled over. Then it might, listen, Gary, it may be over. Maybe that's how it ends. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, with that being said, man, that's pretty much the end of the episode. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this recap and review. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so y'all don't miss shit snip that's going down, all right? Talk to y'all soon. Peace.